Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the part 3 portion of chapter 2. The name of the chapter is Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. Already we have discussed 30 portion of this chapter in our last two videos. Already I have made two videos on this chapter, the part 1 and part 2. From this part 1 and part 2 videos we came to know the description of the flowering plants, the parts of the flower, the development of the male gametophyte, the microsporogenesis and the pollen grain structure. So in this video we are going to discuss the development of the female gametophyte. So let's start the today's class. The first topic is the development of the female gametophyte. The first topic in today's class is the development of the female gametophyte. So already we have completed the development of male gametophyte, and there I think you can see this thing that there are several structure, there are several procedures are there for the development of the male gametophyte. The same thing is happened in the female gametophyte development also. The first thing is the pistil or gynoecium represents the female reproductive part of the flower. This thing already you came to know in our first video of this chapter, that the name of the female gametophyte, the part of the female gametophyte in the flowering plant's body. So the name of the female gametophyte is actually the pistil or gynoecium. This actually represents the female reproductive part of the flower. So please remind this name. Please remember this name, mark this word, because this is very important for your exam. The name of the female gametophyte, the female reproductive system, the name of the female reproductive system in the flowering plant's body is the pistil or gynoecium. Okay, so it may has one carpel, two carpel, three carpel, or many carpels are there. I think all of you know that what is the meaning of carpel. So this actually the which system has one carpel, which reproductive system, which female reproductive system has one carpel. So this is called the monocarpellary. Which has two carpel, it's called the bicarpellary. Which has three carpel, it's called the tricarpellary. And which has many carpel, that's called the multicarpellary. So this is the actually the carpel system. This is actually the number of carpel. This all those things are based on the number of carpels. That I am repeating again, that which system has one carpel, that's called the monocarpellary. Which system has two carpel, that's called the bicarpellary. Which system has three carpel, that's called the tricarpellary. And which system has many carpel, that's called the multicarpellary. Pistil may be syncarpous and apocarpous in nature. So what is the meaning of syncarpous? The pistils are fused together. In which system the pistils are fused together, that's called the syncarpous pistil. And in which system pistils remains free, that's called the apocarpous system. So I am repeating again because this is very important for your exam, that what is the meaning of the syncarpous and what is the meaning of the apocarpous. So this is the apocarpous means the pistils remains free, and the syncarpous means the pistils are remains together, the fused together. Okay, so this is the basic things, this is the basic structure of the pistil, this is the basic structure of the female gametophyte. So I am repeating again. So in the flowering plant's body, this female gametophyte is collectively called the gynoecium. This is collectively called the pistil or gynoecium, and it may has one carpel, this is called the monocarpellary. It has two carpel, it may has two carpel, this is called the bicarpellary. It may has three carpel, this is called the tricarpellary. And which system has many carpel, that's called the multicarpellary. Okay, and after that the pistil may be syncarpous. What is the meaning of syncarpous? That the pistils are fused together. And what is the meaning of apocarpous? The pistils are remains free. So this is the basic overview of the female gametophyte. Next thing is the actually this is the structure of the female reproductive system. The A actually depicts the structure of the female reproductive system. This is the stigma part, this is the style, and this is the ovary part. Okay, so stigma part, this is the upper portion is called the stigma. This is actually the sticky in nature. Why this is the sticky in nature? Because the pollen grains are stick here. during the time of the pollination. So this is the style part, the long slender like structure, that's called the style part, and the last part, the bulb structure, is called the ovary. Okay, and this is the main, actually the female reproductive system. This is the main part of the female reproductive system, and the style actually the connecting link of the stigma and the ovary. Option B, actually this B actually depicts the multicarpellary structure. Okay, and C is called the multicarpellary apocarpus in nature, and option D actually it depicts the diagrammatic view of the typical anatropous ovule. Okay, so these all those things I think you can understand properly, and during the time of your exam this diagram is very important. The option A, the dissected flower of the hibiscus showing the pistil portion. Okay, this is very important for your exam. Okay, next thing is the structure of an idealized flower. Okay, so this is the stamen part. These whole those things are the stamen part. This stamen has two part, one anther and the another one is filament. So this is the anther part, this is the bilobe structure, and this long slender like structure, that's called the filament. So this long slender like structure, that's called the filament structure. And in the female reproductive system also, this it has total three parts, the stigma, style and the ovary. So I think you already have shown this picture in repeated times, but actually I have made this slide again because this structure is very important for your exam also, and if you don't understand this structure properly then you cannot write anything of any question. Okay, so that's why this structure is very much important structure for your better understanding, for better memorization. So this is the stigma part, this is the long slender like structure, this is the style part, and this is the ovary part, and the ovules are there within the ovary. So the whole system is called the carpel. The whole system is called the carpel part. Okay, so this is the overview of the idealized flower. So next thing is the structure of the female gametophyte. The next thing is the structure of the female gametophyte. So a typical pistil actually consists of the basal swallow and ovary, an elongated style and terminal stigma. Okay, I am repeating again. A female gametophyte has actually as some parts are there. This is the basal swallow and ovary. So look at the structure. This is the ovary portion and an elongated style. So this is the style portion. This long slender like structure. This is the style portion, and terminal stigma is there. So this is the terminal stigma is there. So it has total three parts, the stigma, style and the ovary. So it has total three parts, the stigma, style and the ovary, and inside the ovary the ovarian cavity placenta is located. Okay, and the megasporangia ovule arise from the placenta area. So within the ovary region the placenta is there, and from the placenta area the ovule or megasporangia is there. Okay, in the male reproductive system the term is the microsporangia, and in the female reproductive system the term is the megasporangia. Okay, so this is the structure of the female gametophyte. This is the structure of the female gametophyte. The next thing is the images of the gynoecium. The next thing is the images of the gynoecium. So this is the actually the diagrammatic view, and this is the real picture. This right hand side picture is the real picture, and just look at the structure. This is the gynoecium portion. Okay, so if you transect the gynoecium portion, then you will get all those things. Okay, this pistil, this stigma, this style, this ovary, all those things. Next thing is the structure of the megasporangium or ovule. So this is very important for your exam. I am repeating again, this is very important for your exam. Like the microsporangium, the megasporangium, structure of the megasporangium or ovule structure is very important for your exam. So the first thing is the within ovule the meiosis and the megaspore formation takes place. Okay, and it's attached to the placenta by a stalk like structure, that's called the funicle. So there is so many terms are there, and those terms are quite unknown to all of you. So please go through this portion properly in repeated times, otherwise you cannot remember this each and every new term. Okay, so within the ovule portion, the meiosis takes place and the megaspore formation takes place actually. Okay, so it's attached to the placenta. This ovule, this megaspore actually attached to the placenta by a stalk-like structure that's called the funicle. Okay, so this is very important term for all of you. So this is the funicle portion. So what is the meaning of funicle? So when the ovule, when the megaspore actually attached to the placenta region, so it's actually attached by a stalk like structure. Okay, long slender like structure, that's called the funicle. Next thing is the junction between the ovule and funicle is called the hilum. Okay, the junction between the ovule and funicle is called the hilum area. Okay, each ovule has one or two protective envelopes called the integument. So ovule has 2 to 3 several layers for their protection, and these layers are collectively called the integument. These layers are collectively called the integument. Okay, so at the tip of the ovule, after the integument formation, at the tip of the ovule a small opening is there. This small opening is called the micropyle. At the tip of the ovule a small opening is there. This is called the micropyle area. Okay, and the basal part of the ovule is called the chalaza. A basal part of the ovule is called the chalaza, and a mass of cell called the nucellus is enclosed within a integument reserves in food material, and an ovule generally has a single embryo sac structure. So lots of informations are there in this slide. Okay, I am repeating again, so many information, so many important informations are there in this slide, so please go through this slide properly. Okay, so I am repeating again, this is the structure of the ovule or structure of the megasporangium. Actually, one ovule or megaspore is formed in the ovary region with the help of the meiosis cell division. Okay, and after the formation of the ovule, it's attached to the placenta region. This placenta is actually present in the ovary by a stalk like structure, that's called the funicle. Next thing is the junction between the ovule and the funicle is called the hilum. So after attaching the ovule with the placenta by the funicle, so there is a space. So this junction, this space between the ovule and funicle is called the hilum. After that, each ovule has 2 to 3 several layers for their protection, for their nourishment. So these layers are collectively called this envelope, this layer is collectively called the integument. Okay, and at the tip of the ovule a small opening is there called the micropyle is located, and the basal part of the ovule is called the chalaza. So the tip portion has the one small opening in the ovule portion, that's called the micropyle, and the basal part of the ovule is called the chalaza. So this is very important information, that the upper portion has the small opening in the ovule region, that's called the micropyle, and the basal part of the ovule is called the chalaza. And apart from this, a mass of cell called the nucellus is enclosed within an integument. It reserves the food material. Actually, it provides the nourishment. This nucellus region provides the nourishment to the nascent ovule. Okay, and how this nucellus provides the nourishment, that this nucellus region actually reserves in the food material. A mass of cell is there, and this nucellus region actually reserves the food material, and that's why it can provides the nourishment. An ovule generally has a single embryo sac is there. Next thing is that this is the structure of ovule. Okay, so the tip of the portion, this is a small opening, that's called the micropyle. Okay, and when the ovule, this whole ovule is actually attached with the placenta region. This whole ovule is actually attached with the placenta region, and this is called this stalk like structure, this is called the funicle. The stalk like structure, this is called the funicle, and this is the basal part. So this basal part is called the chalaza, and two types of integument is there. This is the outer integument and this is the inner integument. The egg is there within the ovule portion. Okay, and this is the embryo sac, this is the secondary nucleus, and this is the antipodal. So we will discuss later about the antipodal. So this is the overview of the structure of the ovule. Next thing is there are different types of the ovules are there. There are different types of the ovules are there. The first one is the orthotropous ovule. The first one is the orthotropous ovule. The picture A, the diagram A depicts the structure of the orthotropous ovules. So this is actually the micropyle, chalaza and funicle are in a straight line. The micropyle, the tip of the opening, the chalaza basal part and the funicle, the stalk-like structure are in a straight line. Okay, this is most primitive type of the ovule. The plant Cycas, Polygonum, Piper, so all those plants has this orthotropous ovule. Second one is the anatropous ovule. Picture B, the diagram B depicts the anatropous ovule. So this ovule turns at 180-degree angle, thus it is inverted ovule. Okay, and micropyle lies close to hilum or at side of hilum. So it founds of 90% of the angiosperm family. Next is the camylotropous ovule. The diagram C depicts the camylotropous ovule. Actually, this ovule is carved more or less at right angle to funicle. Okay, here the micropylar end is slightly bent. Next one is the hemianatropous ovule. So this ovule is actually the 90-degree turn upon the funicle or body of ovule is at right angle of the funicle. Next one is the amphitropous ovule. So this the diagram E actually depicts this amphitropous ovule. So this ovule as well as embryo sac is carved like the horseshoe structure. Okay. And last one is the sarcinotropous ovule. So this ovule turns at more than 360-degree angle. So funicle becomes coiled around the ovule. Okay. So this is the sarcinotropous ovule. So during the time of your exam, you have to remember each and every ovule structure with the diagram. Okay. So this is very important thing, the ovule structure. So this is actually the chart. This is actually the chart of the pre-fertilization and the post-fertilization event. So funicles. So what is the meaning of the funicles? Actually, I have made this chart for your easy memorization. So what is that? This all those things, all those parts are very important part or structure of the ovule. So the first one is the funicles. The first structure is the funicle structure. So what is the meaning of the funicle? That this ovule, actually this funicle is the, when ovule is attached to the placenta by means of stalk-like structure, that's called the funicle. Okay. Next one is the hilum. What is the meaning of the hilum? The body of the ovule fuses with funicles in the region called the hilum area. Actually, this is the junction between the ovule and funicle. Next thing is the integuments. What is the meaning of the integuments? That each ovule has one or two protective envelopes called the integuments. Okay. Inner integument and the outer integument. Next one is the micropyle. What is the meaning of micropyle? The integuments leave small opening at one end called the micropyle. This end is called the micropylar end. Okay. Next one is the chalaza. What is the meaning of chalaza? The basal part of the ovule, the opposite end, actually the micropylar end, that's called the chalaza. So I am showing the picture. Look at the structure. This is the micropyle and this is the chalaza, the opposite part of the micropyle. So this is the basal part, this is the tip portion of the ovule. So this micropyle and chalaza is just opposite to each other. Next one is the nucellus. So these actually encloses the embryo sac. This tissue encloses the embryo sac, and the last one is the embryo sac or female gametophyte. So it is actually an ovule generally has a single embryo sac formed from a megaspore region. Okay, this nucleate has 7 cell stage and this is called the egg apparatus, filiform apparatus or synergids. This is the antipodals and the 2 haploid nuclei. So we will discuss later about the embryo sac. When we will study the embryo sac formation, there you will see these things, that what is the meaning of synergids, what is the meaning of egg apparatus, what is the meaning of antipodals and 2 haploid nuclei. So this is the actually the I have made this chart, I have made this slide for your easy memorization, because all those 7 parts are very important for the ovule structure. Okay, and during the time of your exam you have to remember each and every parts. Okay, these types of question may come in a 1 marks question or 2 marks question, 5 marks question, whatever, but you have to remember each and every parts of the ovule. Next thing is the megasporogenesis. So this is very important thing, because Microsporogenesis is also important. So I think from the name you can easily understand this is the development of the ovule. So just like the microsporogenesis, megasporogenesis is also there. This is actually the process of formation of megaspores from the megaspore mother cell. That's called the MMC. Megaspore mother cell, the short form of the megaspore mother cell is the MMC, and this process is called the megasporogenesis. This process is called the megasporogenesis. Okay. So this is the overview, this is the definition of the megasporogenesis. Next thing is it actually occurs inside so what is the location of the megasporogenesis? It actually occurs inside the nucellus region. Okay. Next thing is the MMC enlarges and divides by the meiotic cell division, and the last point is the first divide transversely into two cells, and these two cells again divide, a row of 4 haploid cells are formed. So that's called the megaspore tetrad. So this is the overview of the megasporogenesis. I am repeating again, what is the meaning of megasporogenesis? That the formation of the megaspore, that's called the megasporogenesis, and for each and every new formation one mother cell is required. So here the same thing is also there in the megasporogenesis. One mother cell is also required. The name of the mother cell is the megaspore mother cell, the MMC. Okay, and this actually the location of the megasporogenesis is the nucellus region, which is actually highly nutritive substance, actually highly nutritive area in the ovule portion, and after the megasporogenesis we are getting total 4 megaspore cell. We are getting megaspore tetrad, and all the cells are haploid in nature. So this is the actually the schematic diagram of the megasporogenesis. This is actually the schematic pathway of the megasporogenesis. What happened? That MMC is there. This MMC actually the diploid in nature, because each and every mother cell is the diploid in nature. Otherwise we cannot get any haploid cell after the meiotic cell division, because we all know in the meiosis cell division what happened? The chromosome number become half. So this megaspore mother cell actually happened in the nucellus region, and after the meiosis we are getting 4 cells haploid. Okay, this is the 4 cell haploid and 1 degenerate functional megaspore. So after the megasporogenesis we are getting 1 functional megaspore and 3 non-functional megaspore. Okay, so this is the overview, that the functional megaspore enlarges. After the meiotic division, 2 nuclei move opposite poles, and then again to mitotic division is happened, and 4 nuclei at each pole wall formation is there. Okay, and remaining 2 nuclear pole nuclei at large central cell. So from the megasporogenesis we are getting 1 functional megaspore. So I have written this thing. We are getting 1 functional megaspore and 3 non-functional normal cell, and these 3 cells actually from the antipodal cell. So this is the megasporogenesis. This is the megasporogenesis. This is the micropylar end. This is the nucellus region, and this is the MMC. This is actually the MMC. Okay, this is actually the MMC, the megaspore mother cell, and this is the micropylar end, and this is the megaspore tetrad. So from 1 megaspore mother cell, so this is 1 megaspore mother cell, we are getting first the megaspore dyad. Dyad means the 2. Dyad means the 2 cell. Okay, this 1 cell and the another cell, and after the second meiotic division we are getting total megaspore tetrad. Megaspore tetrad means the 4 cell, the 1, 2, 3 and the 4. Okay, total 4 cells are there. This is the last topic for today's class, the difference between the micro and megasporogenesis. This is very important for your exam, for your 3 marks question. This is very important question. This is the 3 marks question. This is very important question, that the difference between the micro and megasporogenesis. The first point of the microsporogenesis, that the process of formation and differentiation of the pollen grains from microspore mother cell, by the meiosis process, that's called the microsporogenesis. And what is the meaning of the megasporogenesis? The process of formation of megaspore by the megaspore mother cell, it means the MMC, by the meiotic cell division, that's called the megasporogenesis. So during the time of writing you have to remember 2 to 3 points. First one is the what is the definition of it. Second one is the from where we are getting this process, from where we are getting this microspore and megaspore. And third point is the by which cell division we are getting this, okay, by the meiotic cell division. Next one is the pollen grains are produced in the anther, which is a broader knob-like fertile part of the stamen, okay, and here the ovules are formed in the ovary region. And the last point, all the 4 pollen grains that are formed from the microspore mother cells are actually the functional in nature, okay. So from the microsporogenesis we are getting actually the 4 microspore cell, and all the 4 microspore cells are the functional in nature. And in the normally in the megasporogenesis we are getting only 1 functional megaspore out of 4 megaspore, okay, only 1 out of the 4 megaspore is the functional in nature. So this is the actually the difference between the micro and megasporogenesis. So from today's videos actually we came to know several things. First thing is the development of the female gametophyte, okay, the development of the ovule, the structure of ovule, the types of ovule with the formation, and the megasporogenesis, the schematic pathway of the megasporogenesis, and the last thing is the micro and megasporogenesis. In our next video we will discuss the pollination process. So okay, till then goodbye, and I hope this video will help you a lot for better understanding. So go through these videos properly, and I am telling you in repeated times that this chapter actually quite complicated chapter and quite difficult chapter. So go through each and every videos thoroughly, more than 2 times 3 times, and if any problems are there ask me immediately. Thank you, bye.